Members of the public are welcome to join, and I'm not sure if we have others on tonight. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So
This is
moved.
Chuck. I move to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Runk, second by Councilmember Doherty. Eric, can you call the roll?
Sure. Councilmember Doherty.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Runk.
Yes.
Mayor McCumber.
Yes. Next is council staff reports. Last week, Eric, our lobbyist, and myself met with the Office of Management of Budget regarding our bonding bill request for the King plant. So we'll wait and see what the outcome of that is going to be. Then today I was on Zoom meeting with Climate and Energy Finance Policy Committee with the House. XL Energy did their presentation of the integrated resource plan. So was updates regarding the retirement of the King plant. And then one thing that popped up that I did not know that was in there was there will be a new transmission line going from the King plant and then another one for Sherco. So we'll keep following up on that. And then this afternoon was the Senate Transportation Finance Policy Committee, the hearings on Senate File 3081 and 3086. And those are both regarding the Small Cities Assistance Account and getting the sustainable funding for that. It was very positive. It was eyes off from the committee to push it forward into the tax committee and jobs, looking at it being a jobs bill as well. And then tomorrow I have the Joint Airport Zoning Board. So that's it for me. So Councilmember Doherty.
I have nothing to report.
Other than sunshine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
I have nothing to report.
Councilmember Runk.
I attended the monthly CVB meeting. They're working on how they're going to progress now since they're having a new coordinator, and they're looking at some changes to the way of their operation. And then I also attended the Middle St. Croix watershed this month, and we're starting to get stuff in for projects coming up this year. That's it.
When is Christie's last day, or was it already?
Chuck?
It'll be the 28th of this month is their last day.
Thank you. Next for staff reports, Chief Hansen.
Just a couple of quick things, Mayor and Council. One, we have a police department employee, Sandy Cruz. We recognize her for made it to 35 years of service as of February 10th. We had a little celebration for her here. She's sticking with it. It's not a retirement party, but good for her. And congrats for keeping with her so long. And then second, just as a heads up, we're doing some combined training with Bayport Police Department now throughout the rest of this year, starting off this week. So that we're looking forward to that. Definitely we back each other up all the time. So it makes sense to do training together as well for use of force and firearms and stuff. So that's all I got, Mayor.
Do you have an update for the incident today because of all the phone calls we got?
Yeah, so I can give you some information, what I sent out earlier. It's pretty much everything went fairly fast there that morning, right before 8 o'clock, involving a stolen motor vehicle with the suspect that went inside the school. It was quickly found. So the school was in lockdown for probably less than 10 minutes. The person's apprehended is currently still in custody. And that's about as much as we can talk about it. It started in Woodbury, so they're part of their investigation as well that's going on the front end of it. But I believe it was the individual's second vehicle of the morning that was stolen. But it ended well. Great job with all their other law enforcement partners that came up and were able to get to this resolution pretty quick. So it was real nice. That's it. That's just any questions.
Thank you very much. Assistant City Administrator Jennifer.
Mayor and Council, I have two things to report. First of all, Annie Catherine Barris did go ahead and accept the Summer Park Program Coordinator position. So she is actively working on scheduling some events. She is reaching out to Gina. Gina had offered to help out as well. And so her position officially starts on June 1st. And secondly, the recycling award winner for the first selection for the month of February was the renter who is at 14224 57th Street North. And they were selected for having their recycling out.
Thank you. Are there any other staff reports? And next is the visitor public comment section. This is a time for anyone who would like to address the council on anything not on the agenda to come forward now. And I don't see anyone on here. Do you have anyone, Jen? Okay. So move on to the consent agenda, which is approved bills and investments, check 67842 to 67871 for a total of $337,445.64. Approved city council minutes for February 8th, 2022. Approved license for sale and storage of fireworks at Menards. Approve renewal of consumption and display permit for Sodi's cigar and pipe. Impose $500 sanction and accept payment from Speedway store number 7036 for tobacco compliance failure. Approve resolution reestablishing unchanged precinct and polling place in the city of Oak Park Heights in Washington County. And approve joint powers agreement for fuel contract for 2022.
I'll move the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Rugg, second by Councilmember Doherty. Eric?
Sure. Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Runk,
Yes.
Mayor McCumber.
Yes. And we do have a public hearing tonight for amendment to City Code 1115 for the fire code. I'll open the public hearing, and Julie, would you like to present on that?
Sure. Mayor and Council, February 8th, we introduced the proposal of amending ordinance 1115 with regard to our fire code. The purpose of this amendment is to shorten the title simply to fire code. The large bulk of the existing title is built into the building code and other ordinances these days. The larger portion of this request is to adopt Appendix P with regard to the emergency responder radio coverage within the Minnesota State Fire Code. That code requires that we do adopt that appendix through local ordinance in order for it to be enforceable. That will allow us to have buildings outfitted as they're constructed, remodeled, and as need to update their system so that our emergency responder radios will be effective in the case of emergencies in need.
Thank you. I do see that Fire Chief Eisinger is on there. I don't know if he has anything to add to that or any comments.
I'll just add that this came about a few years ago. City of Stillwater was one of the first ones of our neighboring communities to adopt it, and Bayport adopted it after the first of the year. So it just helps us do our job with the tools that are needed to communicate with inside some of these very large structures.
Okay, thank you. And Chief Hansen, did you have anything you wanted to add to it as well?
Just obviously overwhelming support for this to get passed because we had the incident this morning at the high school, and that was an absolute perfect example of how we could not communicate with each other effectively in large structures, facilities, and we have several of those in the city of Oak Park Heights. So yeah, it would be great.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to close the public hearing, or is there any council comments before we have discussion?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Doherty, second by Councilmember Johnson. Eric?
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Runk.
Yeah.
Mayor McCumber.
Yes. Council, any discussion or comments regarding the presentation?
I make a motion that we adopt the city ordinance change.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Doherty, second by Councilmember Johnson. Eric?
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Runk,
Yes.
Mayor McCumber.
Yes. We don't have any old business tonight, so we'll move on to new business, which is discussion on remote meetings regarding COVID-19. At our previous meeting, we moved to, because numbers were climbing at that time, and now they seem to be leveling off. And we were going to have it end at the end of this, basically the end of this month. So this would be our last meeting by remote. So my suggestion is we go back to in-person and keep it as in-person unless something interesting changes. But right now, let's keep our fingers crossed that we're on the way to a good path and this is behind us. So is there a motion to go back to in-person meetings?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Doherty, second by Councilmember Johnson. Any further discussion? Eric?
Excuse me, Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Runk. Mike, I think you were on mute.
Yes.
All right, Mayor McCumber.
Yes. Then we have set workshop meeting dates, and we have quite a collection here. In looking, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but by looking at this, I was thinking that if we can try and combine things that are similar, and take, for instance, the advisory panel, the presentation from Stantec on the utilities, and maybe even the speed limit information from Stantec, and have that all in one night. I know it'd be a long, meeting, 3 hours, but it would accomplish a lot. And if we were to have it on an off Tuesday, say like March 15th, we have a meeting on the 8th, but to have it on March 15th, and then we wouldn't have to rush to try and get ready for a council meeting. Any thoughts on doing something like that?
I like the idea. I mean, just pick a date.
Okay, and then similarly, for the goal setting and the team building, goal setting, it says 90 minutes, but sometimes we go longer, sometimes it's shorter. But to combine that with the team building with Amy Gourlay, there again, it would be long again, but have it on an off night where we can allow the appropriate amount of time.
What?
Ideas for Casey for her birthday on Sunday? We're just gonna bid more $50.
Okay, somebody probably needs to mute. Or we all get invited to the birthday party.
Right.
Is that Lilligren coming on?
It must be, he's just on his phone. I just saw it go mute, so it must have been his phone. But anyway, maybe do it on the 15th and then maybe March 29th, whichever way. I think maybe do the advisory committee because that's been holding out for it doesn't make any difference, do it the 15th and then the 29th, if that would work for everyone.
I don't know if Amy's available on the 29th.
Oh, wait, she said
It's
the
available on
10th.
the 16th.
Oh, I had circled the 10th. That was the 30th to do goal setting, and Amy on Thursday, the 10th.
I'm not available on the 10th. Of Amy's dates, so the only one I would be available for would be the 30th.
Well, we could do that on the 30th, do goal setting and Amy on.
Yeah,
the
are these all evening meetings or can some of this be during the daytime?
Well, we can see how everyone's schedules work out.
I think we should do evening, especially if, I don't know if Mike Lilligren's the phone, but with work schedules, that might be harder.
So if we were to start at say 5 o'clock or even 4:30.
I could do that.
Okay. So why don't we say the 30th, 4:30. That one will be for goal setting and meet with Amy. Then on the 15th, which is a Tuesday, meet at 4:30 and go through the advisory panel and then the 2 presentations with Stantec. Does that work with everyone's schedule?
That works for
Works with
me.
mine.
Okay.
I'm nervous about saying 4:30 unless we have Mike Lilligren's. No. does not work.
Mike, can you answer or unmute yourself? Just let us know if that works for you.
Put in the chat box, no, sorry. I don't know if
For both of them?
it just says no, sorry. There's
Jenny,
nothing.
could you unmute him? I wonder if he's having an issue unmuting.
The thing I can do is ask to unmute. So I push that. This is
Okay.
not Mike Liljegren, it says. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
well, then we'll have to circle around then with Mike Liljegren.
Mayor
Make
and
sure.
Council, one question. So, the advisory panel and those things, from Stantec, certainly Lee is here, but I don't know the availability of all those folks relative to the advisory panel and some of those other things, Lee, Tom Layton and John Shardlow and those. So hypothetically, if the 15th is a potential date, could we also select a second date in the event the 15th isn't workable?
Why don't we do that the 29th? Or wait, Chuck, will that work for you?
Let me check. Yes, I can do the 29th.
Okay, why don't we do the 29th as the alternate date then?
Thank you.
Okay.
And then the only other one that we need to set then is for the pre-construction meeting for Narelle, and that's be about 45 minutes. We possibly could do that right prior to our meeting on the 22nd.
One thing with Lee, and I'd certainly defer to Lee, what his opinion on that is, maybe that might be more useful in mid-April or as we get closer to construction, Lee, or what do you think would be advantageous?
Well, in March, we're going to be just getting to the point of awarding. And so I think probably the contractor we probably want to go through the contract process first and get the contractor on board and get all that taken care of. Normally, we will have a pre-construction meeting before we would meet with residents, so we get everybody on the same page. So that might make sense to have a little bit later, like Eric mentioned, maybe in April or as soon as we can get that going after we have a pre-construction meeting.
How about the meeting we have on April 26th? That's later in April. It gives plenty of time to go through all of those and then just have it for the hour prior to our council meeting from 5 to 6. And then maybe have our, Jen, when you set up the agenda, set it so that the council meeting will start as soon as the work session is finished. Would that work for everyone?
Yeah, I think we can shoot for that. And obviously we'll have to get the contractor on board with that date as well, but that's what we will try for.
Well, if it doesn't work, we can bring it back at the next meeting. If we have to schedule it for May, we could do that too. But right now we'll put it as tentative for the 26th.
That makes sense.
Awesome.
Okay. And that works for everyone? Okay, is there a motion to approve those dates?
So moved.
Second,
Motion by Councilmember Doherty, second by Councilmember Johnson. Eric?
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
yes.
Councilmember Runk. He's still on mute.
Having a problem getting off mute.
So there you are. And then
Yes.
Mayor McCumber.
Yes. Let me move on to other council items and announcements. I did have a phone call today with NLC, and then mayor from Georgia called me regarding it as well. It has to do with transportation, but also something that our city might be interested in. It's called Safety First for Safety, or for Safer Cities Challenge. It's basically a challenge through NLC, trying to get more federal dollars down directly to the cities instead of having to go through the state and go through the MPO, the Met Council, MPOs. I looked at it and I thought, it might not be such a bad thing, because we just were talking recently with the high school student regarding the safety issues on 58th Street, the improvements that we're doing on Narelle for safety improvements. some of the ramp improvements for pedestrians. So I thought if council's interested in have staff take a look at it and I guess it would be Lee and Eric and Andy, see if it's worth taking a look at and have our city participate in it.
Sure.
Whenever I see dollars coming directly to the city, I'm all about it. So if we can get anything, I think it'd be worth it. So I'll send all the information on to staff if council is interested in that. I don't see anybody shaking their head no, so I guess it's okay. So are there any other announcements or council items?
Just one thing, Jennifer, could you email out or do invites on all those, on the meetings we all just set up, so I get it in my calendar?
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
thanks, Jen.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Before we do that, Jennifer and I, just an update, Jennifer and I met with, to set up the employee event this year. So Jen will be sending out a save the date and some more information to everybody just to keep you up to speed on that too. Okay, then now you can go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Doherty, second by Councilmember Runk. Eric?
Councilmember Doherty,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Runk,
Yes.
Mayor McCumber.
Yes. Thanks, everybody, and have a good night.
Recording stopped.